There comes a moment in your life when you must look at yourself honestly and admit that the person you are today cannot take you to the place you dream of tomorrow. This is not weakness, this is maturity. Most people spend their whole lives defending their flaws, protecting their fears, and holding on to habits that have already proven they don't work. They hide behind pride, behind excuses, behind old stories they repeat so often they start believing them. But nothing changes until you stop protecting the version of yourself that's holding you back. You have to be brave enough to break the old foundation before you can build a new structure. Rebuilding doesn't start with motivation, it starts with truth. The truth about your discipline, your attitude, your decisions, your patterns. The truth about what you've avoided, what you've ignored, and what you've been pretending not to see. You cannot rebuild a life you refuse to evaluate, and you cannot evaluate yourself while lying to yourself. When you finally admit, I need to change, something powerful shifts inside you. You stop fighting the world and start working on yourself. You stop blaming circumstances and start studying your behavior. You stop waiting for miracles and start creating direction. When you look at the old version of yourself, not with shame, but with understanding, you give yourself permission to grow. You realize that becoming someone better requires letting go of the person who was comfortable being less. Sometimes the biggest enemy isn't outside. It's the soft, predictable, familiar version of you that doesn't want disruption. That version wants routine, not growth, comfort, not change, safety, not evolution, and if you listen to it, it will convince you to stay exactly where you are. But if you want to rebuild, you must interrupt that voice. You must break the cycle intentionally. You must say, I cannot keep living on the same level and expecting a higher outcome. That decision alone creates a crack in the old foundation, and once the crack appears, light starts coming in. Rebuilding yourself doesn't mean becoming someone else. It means becoming the version of you that has been buried under doubt, fear, and hesitation. It means choosing honesty over ego, discipline over comfort, responsibility over excuse. It means looking at the pieces of your life and deciding which ones to keep, which ones to replace, and which ones you will never pick up again. Growth is not about adding more. It's about removing what no longer serves you. When you break away from the old version of yourself, you give your future a chance to breathe. The moment you stop protecting the old you, the new you finally has room to rise. One of the biggest lessons you must learn on the journey of rebuilding yourself is that excuses are the quiet thieves of your future. They don't shout, they don't threaten, they don't forcefully block your path. They come softly, gently, disguised as logic, disguised as reasons, disguised as protection. They sound reasonable. I'm too tired today. I don't have enough time. I'm not ready yet, or maybe later. And because the voice is soft, you follow it. Because the excuse seems harmless, you accept it. But every excuse you allow becomes a wall you build around your own potential. And every wall you build makes the world smaller and your dream further. People don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they allow excuses to weaken their discipline. They fail because they let their emotions lead their decisions instead of their commitments. When you are trying to rebuild your life, you must understand that your progress relies on what you do, not on what you intend. Wanting to change means nothing if you keep giving yourself permission to stay the same. Excuses will always feel comfortable, but comfort is the enemy of transformation. When you start replacing excuses with execution, everything changes. Your confidence changes, your habits change, your direction changes. You start trusting yourself again. You begin to see proof, small at first, but powerful, that you can follow through. And the moment you trust yourself, rebuilding becomes easier because you stop saying, I hope I can, and you start saying, "I will make sure I do." That shift alone can rebuild a life faster than any external support. Execution doesn't require perfection. It requires movement, it requires courage, it requires the willingness to take one step today, even if you don't know how to take 10 steps tomorrow. Many people wait for the perfect moment, but that moment never arrives. What arrives instead are more excuses, more delays, more reasons why now isn't the right time. But the truth is simple. You don't rebuild your life when conditions are perfect. You rebuild your life when you decide that excuses no longer get a vote. Once you begin replacing excuses with action, you become a different person. You stop reacting to life and start shaping it. You stop being pulled by your feelings and start being guided by your vision. Even on hard days, you move. Even when you feel uncertain, you move. Even when results are slow, you move. And slowly, piece by piece, the new version of you starts forming, not because luck helped you, but because discipline led you. The moment you stop feeding excuses, your future starts feeding you. When you decide to rebuild yourself, one of the most important realizations you will ever have is that your feelings are not reliable architects of your future. Feelings change, they rise and fall like waves. One day you feel unstoppable, the next you feel uncertain. One day you are motivated, the next you are exhausted. If you build your life on your feelings, your foundation will always be unstable. That is why habits must become stronger than your emotions. Habits don't ask how you feel. Habits don't wait for motivation. Habits don't depend on mood. They simply follow the pattern you created. Most people believe their biggest challenge is lack of opportunity, but often the real challenge is lack of structure. They rely on energy instead of routine, on inspiration instead of discipline, and when inspiration disappears, as it always does, the progress disappears with it. Rebuilding yourself requires the discipline to keep going even when your heart isn't loud and your mind isn't excited. It requires showing up for your future the same way you show up for your responsibilities, consistently, not occasionally. Think about the people you admire. Their success is not built on rare moments of brilliance, but on daily commitment, quiet consistency, and habits that carry them through days when motivation is nowhere to be found. When you create habits strong enough to guide you through doubt, frustration, and fatigue, you no longer fear difficult days. You no longer lose progress when life gets heavy. You no longer break every time something challenges you. You become steady, stable, reliable for your own future. Rebuilding yourself means you must design routines that serve you, not drain you. It means waking up with intention instead of waiting for inspiration. It means doing the small things every day that your future self will thank you for, even if they don't feel exciting in the moment. Success is built on repetition, not bursts of pressure. And repetition only survives when habit becomes stronger than feeling. The truth is, feelings will betray you. They will tell you to stop when you need to push. They will tell you to wait when you need to act. They will tell you tomorrow when your future needs today. That is why you cannot let feelings direct your life. They can visit, but they cannot lead. You must build a system that continues whether your emotions support you or not. When you create habits that move you forward, you stop depending on luck. You stop depending on inspiration. You stop starting over every time you lose enthusiasm. Instead, you create momentum, slow at first, but powerful as it grows. And once momentum appears, rebuilding becomes not only possible, but inevitable. Your feelings may change, but strong habits will carry you through anything. When you talk about rebuilding yourself, you must ask a very important question. Can your future depend on the person you are today? If the answer is no, then that is where the work begins. Many people want a better life, but they rely on a weaker version of themselves to build it. They want success, but they keep the mindset that created their struggle. They want new opportunities, but they show up with old habits. Rebuilding is not simply improving. It is becoming someone strong enough, disciplined enough, and focused enough to carry the weight of the future you are asking for. Your dream is not fragile, it is your discipline that often is. You cannot rebuild your life while remaining the same person who broke it. You must become someone your future can trust, someone who follows through, someone who shows up consistently, someone who doesn't disappear when things get difficult. Life tests you to see if you are ready for what you're asking for, because every dream, every responsibility, every opportunity requires a certain level of maturity. If you don't grow into that standard, the opportunity will pass you by, not out of cruelty, but out of misalignment. Becoming someone your future can depend on means strengthening your mindset. It means quieting the doubts that convince you to settle. It means teaching yourself to think long-term when everything around you pushes you toward short-term satisfaction. It means making choices that may not feel good today, but build a life that feels meaningful for years to come. Strengthening your mind is not about being hard, it's about being clear. Clear about what you want, clear about what you need to change, clear about what no longer has a place in your life. You must also sharpen your focus. Too many people blame distractions when the real problem is direction. When you know who you are becoming, distractions lose their power. When you understand what your future demands of you, unnecessary noise naturally fades. Focus is not about forcing yourself to ignore the world. It's about choosing the world you want to build. And the more you choose, the easier it becomes to stay aligned. And above all, you must toughen your spirit. Not with aggression, but with resilience. Rebuilding yourself means accepting that there will be setbacks, moments of doubt, unexpected challenges. But instead of letting these moments break you, you learn from them. You become flexible in strategy, but unshakable in purpose. You stop thinking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? This shift alone can rebuild an entire future. When you become someone your future can depend on, rebuilding is no longer a struggle, it becomes a natural evolution, because the new you doesn't need luck or motivation. The new you creates progress. Become the person your future is waiting for.